Okay, it's time for the full review of the Motorola G84 5G. I bought the phone with my own money and the opinions are my own. So we already covered the display section in the first impressions video, please check that out. I can confirm after several days of using the phone as my daily driver that this panel is great and punches way above its weight. It is very bright both indoors and outdoors, has good contrast and very nice colors. In fact, since my daily driver is the Pixel 7, I notice a lot of similarities, probably due to the color profiles from stock Android. The two profiles, natural and saturated, are almost identical to the ones from Pixel UI. The phone renders clean whites and pleasant colors in natural and punchy and saturated, but not the Samsung way saturated. Additionally, there is a slider that can be used to change the tone to warmer or cooler. The software is stock Android with a sprinkle of Moto on it. I've noticed here and there a lot of tweaks that can be really helpful. Here are some examples. In the personalization section, you can choose the icon shape, the font, and the fingerprint animation, things that you can't find in stock Android. In gestures, you can activate a sidebar similar to the Samsung one, twist your wrist to start camera, chop for flashlight, use 3 fingers for screenshots, and swipe to split. You can also double tap to wake screen or double tap to put it to sleep, also similar to Samsung or LG. You can use Moto Connect to connect your phone to the TV, for example, and use the phone's screen as a touchpad. Ready for is a Moto Connect on steroids and is available for the first time in a G series phone. It allows you to connect to PCs, tablets, video cameras, and more. This is also similar to Samsung's DeX. Fortunately, Moto uses Google's stock apps and does not feel the urge to double those with proprietary apps, and I praise this approach. There is only the Moto branded camera app, which is different from the stock one. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the processor. Don't worry, it's a baby elephant. So we get the Snapdragon 695 5G, a quite capable chip for a mid-budget phone. The phone feels really snappy and smooth in common scenarios. There's the eyesore stutter here and there, but I've seen that in flagship as well, and it is probably more related to app optimization. The 12 gigs of RAM definitely help. But there are drawbacks. First, though the display has HDR support, the chip does not have the capabilities, so you do not get HD video playback on YouTube on Netflix. Second, there is only full HD video recording. The phone will drive many game titles with ease, but not Genshin Impact caliber. It can play racing games and even Call of Duty without breaking a sweat. Let's look at some benchmark tests and play some games. I'll see you in a bit.
Contact with enemy. Target's in sight. Sniper eliminated. Reloading. Cover. Sniper. Enemy in sight. Tango down. Predator missile on standby.
Now let's talk battery. I've used the phone with the auto refresh rate enabled in different scenarios, indoors and outdoors, on Wi-Fi, 4G and 5G, recorded videos, taken photos and played games. The usual screen on time is between 6 and 8 hours, even more in indoors Wi-Fi scenarios. So the 5,000 milliamp hour battery gets you covered even for 2 days. And then lastly, let's talk about the cameras. The phone comes with a 50 megapixel f1.9 aperture wide camera and then an 8 megapixel ultra wide with a f2.2 aperture. The selfie is a 16 megapixel shooter. Detail-wise, the pics from the main sensor are pretty good, and especially in bright conditions. The phone puts out nice and balanced colors. The HDR is not great though, and the darker areas are dark and the lighter are a bit overexposed. And of course, like most budget phones, when the lighting conditions do drop, you do notice a drop in quality in the photos, and that's definitely the case on the G84. A lot of noise does tend to creep in, but that is something you should expect from this budget. You get Motorola Night Mode, which does improve the quality of the photos a little bit. Now, the 8 megapixel ultra wide is about what you'd expect from a budget device. Pretty good in good conditions, of course. Around the edges there is some lost detail, but it is passable. There's no night mode in ultra wide though, and there is a lot of focus hunting in dimmer lighting situations. The video is capped at full HD 60 frames per second. It is not a deal breaker for me as I mostly snap photos, but it might be for you. The quality is passable as well. Nothing to write home about. The video is stabilized only at 30 frames per second, so there's that. As you might expect, the video quality is not great in dimmer light. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer in the comments section. So is it worth buying? Definitely yes. For an asking price of around €230, you get a great screen, nice smooth software, solid chipset that does not throttle, good haptic motor, very good call quality, very good stereo speakers, great battery life, and good life improvements courtesy of Moto's dedicated apps. You also get 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. On the minus side, the chip is an older generation, there is no 4K video, no HDR video playback, and the cameras are just passable. But we need to tailor our expectations to the budget. So well done, Moto!